And when you say, misinformation, disinformation, we could go back to COVID when...
He's connecting circumcision to autism.
May I finish?
Please.
When people, Fauci, people were saying when you get the vaccine, you cannot transmit COVID. It will stop COVID. And that was disinformation, misinformation.
We were also still learning about it. It was a novel virus we've never encountered before.
Right.
Because now the doctors will acknowledge that it
and Dr. Fauci has a medical degree.
At the time, they were censoring Bobby because Bobby said, where's the science to show us this? And there wasn't any. But people attacked him and said, you're wrong.
You mean to tell me Cheryl Hines and RFK Jr. did not read studies like this one? I, for one, am shocked. This study came out in 2021 in June, showing that there was significantly decreased risk of transmission among those who were vaccinated. The catch is in this study, they were only looking at the Alpha variant, which is the first kind of highly publicized variant that we were aware of. And what they found was people who had been vaccinated were about 40 to 50% less likely to transmit the virus to people in their household than those who had not been vaccinated. This was a reduction seen after only 1 dose of the vaccine. In this study, they did not look at 2 doses. This study, which came out in September of 2021, also demonstrated reduced transmission among those who had been vaccinated. They found a 30% reduction in transmission after 1 dose of the vaccine, and then a 54% reduction in risk of transmission after the 2nd dose. This study came out in 2022 and compared the rates of transmission among vaccinated people between the Alpha and the Delta variants. Here they found a 68% decrease in the transmission of the Alpha variant after the 2nd vaccination. For the Delta variant, however, there was only a 50% reduction in transmission after the 2nd dose of the vaccine compared to from an unvaccinated person. You can also see this in this figure. You can ignore the red line and the pink shading, but the blue is Pfizer. And you see, again, for the Alpha variant, there's a greater reduction in transmission than there is for the Delta variant. I'm not here to say we got everything right in 2020 and 2021. As was mentioned in the clip, things were rapidly changing, and these variants all had different characteristics. But what I will say is, by and large, those in healthcare and in public health are always striving to do the best we can with the information that's available to us. Clearly, there was not a 100% reduction in transmission even after a 2nd dose with the Alpha variant, but a 68% reduction in transmission after 2 doses is pretty meaningful. And so to sit here and say that there was no science looking at the transmission after vaccination is just a lie. Not that I'm surprised, though. RFK Jr. is terrible at reading and understanding science, but he's very, very good at lying.